I got my first break in pro audio as a student. I was doing a degree in Belfast. I was into hi-fi as a bit of a geek at 15. I spent my first student grant on a desk, and a couple of bands in Belfast that went out and did gigs with, did a bit of recording with them. I wrote to a raft of UK companies when there still were a raft of UK companies to write to, and it was Clark Technic who decided they would give me a go for a year.
Well, my background is not in electronics at all, so I'm a biologist by training, in fact, and sort of ended up falling into this industry just through meeting people. So I met Ian McCarthy nearly 25 years ago. He had two companies at the time. MC Squared had just started, and he had another company called Inform Catch, which made background music machines for the retail industry, and he had a problem there on the purchasing side, and I was at a loose end, and I really didn't know him very well, but thought, well, it's a job, so I started work.
When you designed stuff 20 years ago, you did a product, you put it out, and unless there was something catastrophically bad about it or wrong or some manufacturing fault, that was it. It was pushed out into the market, and you hope you could do your marketing. If people liked it, they'd buy it, and that was it. Then you moved on. Whereas now there's an expectation, I think, for things to be kept up to date. I think it's probably the way the DSP is being used rather than the DSP itself that has changed. It's being used by the speaker manufacturers in a much more intelligent way than it ever would have been before. It's not being left to the end users to make any of these decisions. The speaker people are going, we've put it in our boxes, we've tuned it to work the best it can, we've incorporated FIR technology in it.
People now kind of expect the hardware to be good. It's sort of, you're making good amplifiers, why wouldn't they be good in the future? And I think what is changing is the software side of things, so you can't have one without the other really now. But I think to make your product stand out, I think possibly the software and the tools that you've got running your hardware is pretty critical to how you're perceived in the market, I think.
There's still a level of expectation that if it's built and designed here, not just designed here, that you're going to get a better quality product, and you're going to get something that will be supported throughout its lifetime. And I think that mainly comes about from the fact that if you're building it in this country, chances are you're going to have stock of all the bits you need to build it, and if anything goes wrong with it or you need a part for it, that those parts will be available.
We sort of, maybe naively, I don't know, think the made in Britain, designed and made in Britain is an important part of our marketing and makes us have a certain kudos, maybe, I think, possibly with customers. We certainly find that in the Asian markets where the product's made is quite important. I have actually recently looked into a costing on having some boards made in China, and in fact we can have them made here cheaper than we could in China by the time you take in the shipping.
When we brought out the TI series amplifiers, which looked quite basic but were quite clever inside, and I had worked on all the software, written all the software for what went in them, and done the design of how they looked. I think it was a guy from PowerSoft came up to me and said, your new amplifiers look lovely. And I said, do you want me to tell you about it? He went, no, I don't care what they do, they just look great. And I think I was very pleased with that. Shallow as that is, the fact that an Italian company had come up and commented on the styling of them pleased me greatly.
I think the biggest thrill I've had, as it were, was definitely, I think, launching the Delta products at ISE last year. We basically have designed 7 products all at once, which for a small company like ours is a really difficult thing to do. We kind of did it successfully. They perhaps didn't all come out quite as quickly as we'd have liked, but overall I think that's an amazing achievement by everybody here, and something we should justly be proud of, I think.